Hey guys, back on the YouTube video. Today it's gonna be a update video. I'm gonna show off a few new items. Now, been a while since I've made one of these again, so my apologies. Like I said, due to the weather and stuff like that, I haven't been able to do much. So hopefully next week I can start working on my bench grinder again. On my angle grinder again. So first things I'll show off is some of the electrician's knives that my father gave to me in exchange for restoring some knives for him. So here's the first one. This is a 1986 to 2006 Camillus Electrician's Knife. Came out beautiful. Those who may remember in the previous video, this was heavily corroded, and the blade was surprisingly in good shape, and so are the handles. I repolished all the pieces, cleaned the inside. Again, it's just so awesome restoring these old electrician's knives. And you can actually still carry these today. And this one is a Camco Electrician's Knife, number 229. Camco is a brand of Camillus, actually. Again, very beautiful, came out really nice, cleaned the inside, polished all the parts, cleaned the back springs, brought it back to a good condition. Next is another Camillus. This one dates 1960 to 1970. Again, it cleaned up beautiful. Sadly, the scales are a little bit damaged, but that's not really a problem. It polished up pretty well. Alright, that's those. Next is an electrician's knife that came in that $10 lot. This is that Craftsman number 9560 that I completely restored. It had a severely loose blade, and I took it completely apart, repinned it, and re-smoothed the bolsters. And now it's tight as heck. And I cleaned the inside, cleaned the Durlin, cleaned the springs. Beautiful. This one's going to go straight in my collection along with these other three. Because I do collect electrician's knives if they're ones like the ones I don't have. Next is another one my father got me, this Frost Cutlery Whittler. And I was debating whether or not I was going to turn around and sell this. My father told me to just go ahead and keep it, so I'm going to keep it. It's a beautiful design despite being made in China, which those who know, I hate China, but I love the design, and I love the classic Whittler design. So this one I am going to keep, and it did turn out pretty well. All it needed was some repolishing and cleaned up the blades and fixed them. So this one I may actually use because it's just a cheap knife. You can buy these on Frost Cutlery for about 20 bucks. Next is another one that came in that $10 lot. This Charade 80T. Again, this one was in horrible condition. It was horribly corroded. And again, I repolished the blades, cleaned them up all by hand, and cleaned the inside. Now she's ready to go straight in my collection. Again, I love these Charade Stockmans. Next is on this Charade 60T that I got from my good friend Nathan. And this one I didn't need to do much to. I hand sanded the brass bolster and all around it and cleaned up the blade and repolished it and put a better edge on it. And then just polished it all up. Sadly, though, I cannot find a picture of this exact knife, so I'm thinking this one may have been customized at one point. My good friend Nathan already told me that he did replace the blade on this, which I'm fine with because he told me he used the original factory blade. Because what you can do is you can buy Charade brand new old stock blades and just replace them and it won't make a difference. But he did a good job. It locks tight and there's no wobble. And I do love the handles. So that's going to go straight in my collection because it's unique and I like unique stuff. Next is this LB7 that my father got for me. Again, I completely repolished it, brought it back to the original condition. Now you can clearly see the serial number. And I cleaned up the blade, polished it, cleaned up the inside. Again, beautiful design. Strictly resembles the Buck 110. Next is a little update on this Rough Rider that my good friend Nathan gave me. Again, this is a Rough Rider Sogbuster, and I will admit, for the price, it's actually not that bad. These are like 20 bucks on Rough Rider. And for something you want to beat the crap out of and use it, not worry about damaging it, this is your thing. Because it holds an okay edge, I guess, but not as good as a buck knife. But for a budget knife, it's not that bad. And I do love the classic Sogbuster style, and I don't have any of these, so that's why I'm keeping that one. Next is on this Cutmaster ball that my father got for me. Again, I completely cleaned it up, polished it up, cleaned the inside, and brought it back to the original condition because I don't have any of them that say Cutmaster. Beautiful. Love that one. Next is an update on this one that I got in exchange for doing some work for my father. This is a Buck, if I'm mistaken, a Buck 103 Skinner. And sadly, though, I couldn't send this to Buck because I sent them an email with some pictures asking if they could rehandle this for me and just keep the original blade. Sorry about the camera shaking. It's kind of windy today. And basically, they said they couldn't do anything because it had been so old that it wasn't worth doing. So they said what I could do is I could send it in, and they'll give me a 50% off discount on the current version of this. And I decided to pass that because this is a rare model. This is a Buck 2-line inverted, which is a rare bird. You don't hardly find these that much. So what I did is I took this completely apart. I took all the pieces off, got rid of the old micarta that was basically disintegrating, and replaced it with this red handle stuff that I'm mostly used to using. And I just simply repinned it back in place, repolished it, cleaned up the plastic, and voila. And this sheath actually I got from my good friend Blake, but I do eventually want to find the original sheath that this went to. Overall, not a bad day's work on that one. And the next is this unusual one my father got me, this folding spoon. I was able to clean it up, and it looks a lot nicer. Sadly, though, I could not lift a brand off of it, so this one's going to stay in my collection because I'm not going to sell them, plus I love unique stuff. Beautiful. Next update is on this hand crank drill that I purchased at a flea market a couple of months back. And again, I completely took it apart, cleaned the shaft, cleaned the bits, cleaned the gear, and now it works like a charm. Beautiful. Those who know me know I use these when I'm working on these types of pocket knives because it's safer to use something like this and instead of using an automatic drill because you can risk accidentally damaging the bolsters by using an automatic drill. Using a hand drill allows you to work very slowly and take your time, and sometimes it's a lot easier. And this one's a lot smaller than the ones I already got. So that one turned out real nice. Sadly, no brand, but I can suspect this is probably a USA one. Next is to show off some new items. First is this Victorinox pouch that my father got for me. He found this in the eBay lot. The knife that's in it is my Victorinox Swiss Champ Marlboro, and it fits in this perfectly. So thank you, Dad. Next is this cheap multi-tool I got in. Don't know the brand, not very familiar with it. This one I'll probably just give away to one of my friends for their birthdays. And then next is one of my favorite finds. I went to a local pawn shop finally since who knows how when, and I picked up this nice old handmade or custom-made Bowie knife. And they originally wanted $50, but I asked them if they would take $40, and they took it. And it's definitely very well made. Got some nice weight to it. It's not too heavy and not too light either. And it's very well made and holds a very good edge. So I wish I could find the maker who made this because this is way too well made to be something factory done. And I love that it's got a full convex grind that goes all the way to the back of the blade. And the sheath itself is very beautifully well made. Definitely a perfect example of an Arkansas-style coffin handle. Beautiful. And again, for $40, I couldn't complain. And hopefully I may even take this camping with me and actually use it because it doesn't have a brand, so I don't have to worry about hurting it. Last update is one that I almost hesitated doing, but I decided to do it anyway. Those who may remember, my good friend Blake gave me this Denix Winchester. It's a Denix replica of an 1886 Winchester, if I remember right. And I already got it working because when I originally got it, it would not function. And now it functions perfectly. And since I used to be in the prop business before I got into knives, I actually took this thing apart and did some slight modifications. Don't worry, I couldn't get it to shoot. So what I did is I took this apart again and put 2 washers in between the little lever right here and put a few new pieces inside here to make it sound more authentic. And then I retightened this, and now it sounds more authentic. Beautiful. You can't beat a classic. Alrighty, that's all the updates I've got for y'all. I hope you've enjoyed the video. And as always, stay sharp.